Hi, Bill Ross. Sorry I kept you waiting. It's the union again. I swear, if it's not labor problems, it's state budget cuts or Medicare revisions. I've got 12 beds filled with AIDS patients with no insurance. I could use about 30 more nurses, and I have cops checking ER patients for guns. Running a hospital sure isn't what it used to be. Enough of my problems. What can I do for you? Hey, I'm not against transplants, but I have to tell you, getting organs for you folks isn't very high on my list of priorities. How do you even know if we have any donors at this hospital? Who'll be responsible for setting up protocols and educating my staff? With DRGs and budget cuts, I'm already running at a deficit. Organ recovery means additional days in the ICU, nursing overtime, OR time, and on and on. Who's gonna pay for that? What about this, what's it called, required request law? How does it work? What happens if we don't approach a family? Are there any real penalties from the state or the feds? This business of asking every family bothers me a bit. What if someone feels offended by being asked? What if they go to the press and make a fuss? This could be bad press for the hospital. I don't need to tell you what problems we have with malpractice. Our insurance premiums have gone right through the ceiling. What if something goes wrong here in the hospital? Or what if someone gets an organ from us and it turns out to have AIDS or some other disease? What kind of protection do we have? Let's say we have a donor. What happens? What do we have to do, and what will you do? Do we need to provide anything special for your recovery teams? What about once the organs leave here? How do you decide where they go? Who will get them? Well, thanks for coming by. I'll be meeting with my staff later today, and I'll get back to you soon.
You know, I'm not altogether thrilled about this assignment. My plate was full enough without this. Quite honestly, I don't really understand exactly what my responsibilities are. Let's take this required request business, for example. Does that mean that every time a patient dies in the hospital, we have to ask for organs? How are we supposed to know who is a suitable donor and who's not? Who's responsible for actually asking the families? What if the family says no? What if the case comes under the jurisdiction of the medical examiner? What happens then? Who looks after the medical management of the patient once the family says yes? What about the paperwork? What kinds of records do I have to keep? Do I have to file anything with the state health department? Will there be some kind of an audit to see if we're in compliance? But what about other tissues like eyes or skin? Do you handle these, or do we have to contact another agency? Well, I think I have a better understanding of what has to be done. Thanks for stopping by.
Hi, I'm Len Becker. Welcome to the Battle Zone. What can I do for you today? I don't know why you come to me. As I see it, the emergency room is the last place to look for organ donors. First of all, almost by definition, the deaths that occur here are sudden and unexpected. Look, someone gets into an accident. They get taken here. Let's say they die here in the ER. It's not like the ICU, where the family may have had several days to grasp what's happened. The family just isn't ready to deal with the death and organ donation. It's just too darn soon. On average, I have about 120 seconds, 2 whole minutes to talk to that family. Then it's on to the next patient. How do you think I'm going to bring up organ donation in that time? Look, I've got a real problem. How do I put this? Let's say I have a patient with a massive head injury. No question what's going on here. The patient arrests. You're asking that I resuscitate him just in case he can be a donor. Well, what if the family says no? I've got myself a brain-dead patient on a ventilator, and what am I supposed to do? Send him to the ICU? A lot of our deaths fall under ME jurisdiction. What kind of arrangement do you have with his office? I've been hearing about this required request regulation. Does it apply to every death? And what do we do when there's no family? That's not at all uncommon in ER deaths. Would you go ahead if there's only a signed donor card with a driver's license? We see a lot of HIV-positive patients. I'm already short-staffed. I can't see how I can ask my people to look for donors, call you guys, talk to families, and then manage the patients. It's just too much work. Even if you pick up some of the tasks, it's still going to require a great deal from my staff. Who's going to train them? Well, I'd like to help you out. I believe in your program. I really do. I'll think it over. Stop in again next time you're here. We'll talk some more.
The word is we're finally getting serious about organ procurement around here. Was it the required request law or pressure from you folks? What are you looking for these days? Hearts, livers, kidneys? Do you handle tissues as well? What's the age limit for donors? What's the story with infections? Is any malignancy a contraindication? At what point do you want us to call you? Before brain death is declared or after? I guess finding potential donors shouldn't be too difficult. The problem is getting permission from the families. With the required request law, does our staff have to approach the families, or will you do it? If our staff is going to do any requesting, who'll train them? If it's an ME case, who calls the ME's office? Tell me a bit about the medical management of donors. Before death is declared, is there anything special that has to be done? Are there any drugs that should or should not be used? How do you suggest handling diabetes insipidus? What about vasopressors? Can you provide hands-on help with the management? How does the billing work? After a patient has been declared dead, who do we bill for the management costs? Will you let us know about the outcomes of donors from our unit? That would certainly help maintain interest. Well, I look forward to working with you. I'm sure you'll find my entire staff quite helpful. Goodbye.
Oh, you're from the transplant program. What can I do for you? Look, my job is to treat my patients, not to find organ donors. As I see it, the treatment of my patient comes first. I'm concerned with reducing brain swelling. I can't worry about hydrating the patient to optimize renal function. Telling a family that a patient died of a cardiac arrest is hard enough. Do you know what it's like to have to explain brain death to a family? I'll tell you, it isn't easy. Okay, who's going to look after this patient? I can't be expected to take the time to identify the patient as a donor, determine brain death, talk to the family, and then manage the patient until your team gets here to take out the organs. I don't have the time or the staff to do it. What are the current age limits for donors? Are sepsis and malignancy the only contraindications? The protocols at this hospital require an isoelectric EEG before declaring brain death. I don't have an EEG technician on call 24 hours a day. And besides, there's so much artifact in the records taken in the ICU that I simply don't feel comfortable saying that they're flat. I'm concerned about the issue of legal liability. The last thing I need is being slapped with a suit for wrongful death. Even with a brain death law, I don't feel that I'm fully protected. If I had a patient who was a potential donor, when would you want me to call? Before brain death is determined or after? Listen, if you can make my role in the process simple and clearly defined, I'd be willing to work with you.